Warning, this video will have some spoilers for the first third of Canto 4. So if you still are trying to avoid any spoilers for that, be wary and probably just don't watch this video. Hello, I'm Kyle, and I've currently got a big video in the works right now, but it'll still be a few more days until it's done, I'm sure. So I wanted to make like a little bit of a smaller video talking about something I've been thinking about recently, and that being just what exactly are the banners going to be this season? Because there's quite a few possibilities, and there's quite a few things we know about, quite a few things we don't know about. So I wanted to go over my personal expectations, theories, and whatnot for all the gacha banners that we're going to be getting for new identities. So going over what we've already gotten, so June 1st, June 8th, and June 15th are the two dates that Canto 4 is releasing in part, and so far we did get a banner for the first week there, and we are getting a banner for the second week, so that means most likely we are going to get a banner next week as well. So the current pattern is June 1st we got two Rose Banner workshop identities, those being Rose Banner Mersault and Rose Banner Refraction. And this week we're going to be getting Rose Banner Gregor and Sun Shower Ego, or Lobotomy Ego Sun Shower Heathcliff, which is a very unique identity in the fact that it is, well, it's Technology Liberation Alliance stuff, and it's being around the whole concept of identities who have actual physical ego from Lobotomy Corporation. And so, based on these patterns, I think most likely next week we're going to see more Lobotomy Ego stuff, mainly because of the fact, in the trailer where we first saw Lobotomy Ego Sunshower Heathcliff, there were two other similar looking identities shown, those being So That No One Will Cry Sinclair and Fairy Gentleman Ishmael. Now, we don't know for sure whether or not these are lobotomy egos or just actual egos, but the chances are, most people are thinking that they are going to be lobotomy egos, mainly because, well, there's no background behind them, and egos always get their own special backgrounds. And also the fact that it would be strange if they just included one lobotomy ego. I think there's a very high chance we're getting more of them. So I think this 3-star for the June 15th update, the third and final part of Canto 4, most likely that banner's 3-star is going to be Fairy Gentleman Ishmael. Now, I think this one's almost certainly going to be the 3-star, because of the fact Ishmael is one of two sinners who still doesn't have any new identities. She only has her 4 that were there on the game's release, although she at least started with 4, unlike the other person who hasn't gotten any identities, which is Yi-Song, who's still at only 3 in total. Now, as far as the 2-star goes, there's two ways where they could go. I think there's a decent chance that the 2-star would end up being So That No One Will Cry Sinclair, because of the fact Sinclair already has 2 3-stars. If any of these lobotomy egos were to be 2-stars, it would be the Sinclair one, most likely, because of the fact that, well, he definitely doesn't need another 3-star. It's already a little strange that he seems to be getting such a noteworthy identity so soon after Grip Sinclair, but I think that's why the team should a 2-star. The other likely possibility, however, is the fact that, well, they might do something similar to the June 8th update and make it so the 2-star is going to be another Rose Banner identity, that being most likely Rose Banner Dawn, if any. And I think that could make sense. She's shown fairly in focus in Rose Banner Rep Rodion's artwork, which is a little strange. And pretty much everyone else, we saw Gregor in the background of both Mersault and Rodion's Rose Banner workshop, so the only Rose Banner person shown who doesn't have an identity so far is that Dawn. Now, of course, that would mean Rose Banner would have 4 identities, which would be a lot for a pretty unimportant group, but there's still definitely a possibility. Now, the one thing about this theory is the fact that we're not getting anything like super relevant to Yi-Song, but I think that's because chances are, after the week where we get the final part of Canto 4, on the week of the 22nd, we're going to be getting Mirror Dungeon 2, and then, which probably we're going to return to the every 2 weeks banner thing by that point, so chances are that's going to be like a no banner week. And then the week after that, the week of the 29th, that's when we're going to be getting Hard Mirror Dungeon 2. Basically just Mirror Dungeon 2, but the hard version of it. Simple enough. Now, I think this is where we're going to be getting our noteworthy Yi-Song identity. They're going to give it a couple weeks after the actual finishing of Canto 4, just to make sure that we'll just allow them to add something really noteworthy, I'm sure. This makes me think it's either going to be one of two things. It's either going to be like Don Grang and Sam Joe. I think that's a likely possibility, like a Don Grang Ego 4, or no, Don Grang Identity 4 Yi-Song would make sense to the 3-star, and then a Sam Joe 2-star Identity 4 someone. I don't know who would fit that best. Probably someone who hasn't gotten anything recently. Maybe like Honglu or someone. Who knows? But I think that's very likely there. Otherwise, it'll probably be someone we either haven't seen or have barely seen, such as Don Back, who is the person who, at the end of Canto 4 Part 1, well, stabbed Yi-Song with the golden bow. Now, of course, we don't know enough about her yet to say for sure, so I think the idea of it being Don Grang and Sam Joe is highly likely, especially because there's a pretty decent chance they're about to die. They seem like pretty... I don't think they're going to be living through this, just based on Project Moon's tendencies. You know how it is. So I think that's most likely going to be the outcome. And then, so, the week after that, probably not going to get anything. After this point, we don't know exactly for sure what each week is going to be, but I think, the July 6th week, I think is going to be nothing too noteworthy, probably some minor stuff. Maybe that's when they're going to, like, add some new mechanics, some type stuff, a minor update, because I think the week after that, the week of July 13th, I believe that's when they're going to be doing the next Refraction Railway 2, also known as Mobius, I think it was. I don't know. That might have been Refraction Railway 3. It's something like that. No, Refraction Railway 3 was Clockwork Orange. Yeah, Refraction Railway 2 is Mobius. Like the Mobius strip. Because of the fact we're getting the Refraction Railway then, I think chances are similar to the first season. The week of the Refraction Railway, we're going to get a banner that's going to be semi-unrelated to the chapter itself, probably going to be Season 0 ones, and I think there's a very high chance that these are association-based identities, similar to Season 1. I wouldn't be surprised if every season is going to have at least one association-based banner, because associations do take up a large chunk of identities, and it's definitely a way to add more, well, Season 0 stuff into the pool. As far as what associations I think would be represented, I think the 3-star being like a Shi association identity is a very real possibility. I'm thinking this because, well, near the end of what we have of Canto 4 Part 1, Shren is assassinated by Shi association. So I think there's a very high chance somewhere later in Canto 4 we're going to see some named Shi Association person, and I feel like them getting some sort of 3-star is likely. And even if they aren't, like, named or we don't see them again, Shi Association is the first and currently only association to actually show up in the main story of Limbus. So it definitely has some sort of importance. As far as the 2-star goes, I think if any, we'd be likely to get like another Zwei 2-star, because of the fact right now the Zwei Association only has a single identity, while all the other associations that we have identities for have 3. And this is a little strange. It could be like, we could get like Zwei Dawn, that could make sense. Or like, the other ones we've seen, I think Zwei Faust is also a possibility, although, of course, whenever them adding associations of their actual respective sinner does seem a little strange, because they do have Liu Honglu, that's true, but it still does seem weird to do it, because it feels like they're going to be more notable in the long run. It's like how the 3-star Shi association would make most sense for Ryoshu, but at the same time, giving Ryoshu a Shi identity so early on just feels strange, especially a 3-star. Now, of course, the 2-star, I think Zwei is very likely because of the fact that, well, it is Tremor. We've been getting a lot of Tremor stuff lately. We're getting a lot of Rupture stuff lately. And I think them adding another Zwei thing to kind of like complement that further would make sense. However, I think if not Zwei, I think if anything, we'd be getting either Trace Association or Sank Association, which is 3 in Spanish and 5 in French, respectively. Trace Association is all about workshop stuff, and Sank Association is all about dueling. Now, we've heard some stuff about them recently. Trace Association was mentioned in part by some of the Rose Banner stuff, while Sank Association was talked about in a fair bit of detail in some of the recent Dante's notes. Now, we haven't seen either of them yet, so if we did get an identity for them, that would be our very first look at them, which would be interesting. Although that would mean that there would be a decent chance that that would be some sort of 3-star, so I don't know about that. And now, as far as going down the line, beyond that point, it's a lot harder to tell, like, what week is going to be new banners, new identities and stuff. It's safe to say, like, probably, like, a month or so after that, that's when we're going to be getting the mid-chapter event. That being the, All Aboard the Magic Limbus, whatever they called it. Now, this one, it sounds like it's going to be something related to water, which makes sense because, well, Ishmael's chapter will be following that. So there's a decent chance it's like some sort of like, I feel like the identities we get for that, the event identities, probably would be something unique to the event itself. There's not really any like thing from Runa that I feel like would fit well with that. Unless they wanted to go for something silly, like go for like lobotomy ego, like soda. Something stupid like that. So I think there's a decent chance that when we do get that banner, it'll be something new, probably related to whatever organization is going to be heavily focused on that mid-chapter. I do think there is a possibility there's going to be, for all we know, Aid Association might be water-based. We know literally nothing about Aid Association other than the fact that's the one that is, like, associated with Ishmael, and quite a few of the associations are, like, fairly similar to their respective person, but not a lot of them, so I don't know for sure. The only one that, like, really fits are, like, I mean, of course, she fits well. I think Trace fits well with Dawn. Stuff like that. So I don't know if they're going to try and keep that trend up. It's very possible we do get, like, 8 being, like, water-based, but I think there's a high chance we just get some sort of, like, water-based group as that thing. And I'm sure at the very end of the season, that's where we're going to get the big one. Probably, like, another 3-star for Yisong, and it's possibly going to be his, like, own equivalent of, like, Grips and Clear. Something super big, something super related. I could see this being where they save, like, some sort of Dawn back, identity for, although at that point, it wouldn't necessarily need to be for Yisong at that point, because I feel like that's similar to how, like, they gave Cromer to, like, Faust. Since, of course, it would kind of be weird if Yisong himself took the identity of his, like, very opposite. But yeah, and that's just kind of my ramblings and theories about what we're going to be seeing as far as banners and identities go in the near future. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hopefully my long video will be done sometime soon. Bye.